to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unwinnable fight.
Isn't it impossible? Do 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 do. Impossible. Do 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 do. Me and you, impossible. Do 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 do. You know that song?
No.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take it right, we can take it slow, yo.
Welcome back to the Road to Self-Love. It's your boy Paul Fishman, self-love coach and You Do You activist, here today with a very special guest, my dad. Dad, welcome to the show.
Oh my God. What the heck is taking you so long to put me on this show?
You know what? I just wanted to make sure there was enough of an audience to make sure that you got the star quality that you deserve.
Well, now that you framed it that way, you're forgiven.
Okay, should I have waited a little longer?
You never could tell when I'm going to die, you know what I mean?
Come on. Well, speaking of death, I don't know where that came from.
Oh, hey, self-lovers. I am in New York City, and I'm just popping in because I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a community where you can join whenever, wherever you are, learn valuable tips and tricks on how to love yourself unconditionally, and come together with like-minded individuals, people just like you? Well, guess what? I'm going to give you that opportunity to join me in Self-Love on Demand, a virtual community dedicated to giving you the tools to learn how to love yourself unconditionally. All you have to do is head to selfloveondemand.com, sign up for the email list, and you will get notified when the doors open again. I am so excited to welcome you into Self-Love on Demand very soon. Let's get back to the episode.
Today is a very special episode. We are filming this right at the tail end of our trip to New York City. We went and journeyed to New York to experience Stonewall 50 and the Pride celebration of 50 years of LGBTQ plus celebration. So I thought it was just one of the best trips I've ever taken with you, Dad. Like, literally one of the best. And I thought this would be a really great time to just kind of travel down memories lane about me as a young boy, and also how it was just being a parent to someone who is a member of the LGBTQ plus community. So before we do that, outside of being my dad, which I think is just like fame enough, I would love for you to introduce yourself a little bit, like who you are, what are your main tenets in life, and all that jazz.
So before I do that, I have to say, fame, I'm gonna live forever. Okay, enough of that. Oh, so who am I? I was born in Brooklyn. You know, a lot like Neil Diamond, except that I didn't end up like Neil Diamond. And always had a penchant for happiness, joy, expression of appreciation for the beautiful things in life, nature, people.
Me.
Without saying, you know. I mean, don't make me jump onto you too soon, because, man, you know, you asked me to give a little bit about me.
I'll let you get back to you.
Okay, so back to me. You know, I used to walk around when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old in our housing project saying, why do we live like this? Why aren't we living closer to nature? Why are we stacked upon each other in this apartment building? And certainly as I got older, I still felt that way. But life made it so that, you know, I had to participate. You know, if I wanted to have a family, I had to support them in some way. So I had to participate. If I was sort of your age now, I'd be doing exactly what you're doing. So to to sort of fast forward a little bit, Paul was born October 20th, 1984.
Just give away my age like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Famous people need to have a beginning and one day. And then,
Dun, dun, dun. We've been talking a lot about death today, Dad.
yeah,
I need to reel it back a little bit.
Reel it
We're
back.
all about life and
Love-
loving life.
love
Living your
and
best life.
got it. Okay. So, Paul was born. From the moment he was born, he was cute as hell. I mean, I'm telling you, full head of hair,
I had a full head.
full head, and totally ebullient, happy, joyful, expressive. He just brought joy into the world immediately. Total joy generator. And I was always very proud of Paul as a dad. We would spend a lot of time together. And I noticed that he was sort of a unique individual. My personal beliefs. I firmly believe in reincarnation. I have to let the cat out of the bag. Hopefully that offends no one, but it's a personal belief. And Paul was like some reincarnated royalty. I mean, if he could have snapped his fingers at 1.5, he would have been, bring it here.
Kind of did that.
Bring it here. Bring it here.
Yeah.
And noticing this proclivity, I exposed him to a lot of the finer things in life that the rest of my family members didn't appreciate as much as Paul and I did. We kind of got off on going to really fancy 5-star restaurants, plays, and other stuff. I'll tell you all a funny story. I took him to New York City when he was 10. And it was for New Year's Eve. I just wanted him to experience the sheer magnitude of energy that this place was able to generate. And I had a business thing I had to take care of. So Paul and I had an engagement for a play. It was a matinee. And I didn't know if I was going to get back home in time, to the hotel in time. And I gave him some money and I said, Paul, if I'm not back by this time, just go and take a cab and meet me at this place.
I was mortified.
Why were you mortified?
I was terrified. Oh my gosh.
And I think I got home and he was curbside.
I was like waiting for you, crossing my fingers.
And he's 10 years old. And now there's a select group of viewers who are going to think that, wow, that's irresponsible. Someone could have kidnapped my glamour boy. As a matter of fact, we have a picture of him in front of a glamour magazine wearing sunglasses. And he looks like a glamour boy. So it was just like training, you know? Totally like training.
The thing about that trip is that I remember getting off of the plane and we stayed in Times Square and we were walking towards the hotel and a gust of wind almost knocked me off of my feet. And it was at that moment, looking up at all of the lights and all of the beauty that was Times Square, that I decided that I was going to live in New York City one day.
Yes.
And I did.
And he did.
I really did. So let's travel back to New York City just a couple of days ago. We were in New York and I thought that it would be this really special time because New York City is where I lived when I came out. New York City is a part of both of our lives and it's just always a fun place to go. So the main reason that I wanted to have you on the show is because I wanted to get the parents' point of view of experiencing what it's like to have a child come out, which I don't think that we talk about a lot. And I thought you would be a great person to put it in perspective because you have a beautiful way with words, and also you have a great way of looking back and in retrospect and understanding maybe the lessons you had to learn or the things you had to go through to get yourself here and now. So I'd love to know, because it was almost 9 years ago that I came out for the first time. And when I first came out, because I came out twice, the first time I came out just to you, Dad. We were driving in the car and I was so nervous. And do you remember when I did that?
Yes.
And what was going through your head when all of that was happening?
Well, there's a perspective here, and the perspective is that certainly it was apparent to those who knew you really well that you had tendencies towards being gay. And the interesting thing was, because of our external circumstances, places we lived and moved to, you did everything within, I don't know how to, you talked about my great verbal abilities. You did everything to protect yourself, so that when that flower decided to open and share its beauty and fragrance with the world, it wasn't going to get stepped on. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you waited to a appropriate time. And I think there was a lot of, self-exploration that you wanted to go through to validate that it wasn't just because it was a cool thing to do or something that you felt you had to do, but something that was who you were. And that whole process of validation, it was fascinating to watch from the outside.
Tell me more about that.
Well, the process of validation basically led you to date numerous women who, on the surface, they were all lovely women. However, beneath the surface, they left a void within your heart that you could ascribe to the fact that maybe they weren't the one. Like, they weren't the one. None of them were the one. But it was easy to see that something else was in play on a deeper level, on a core level. That there was a harmonic within you that needed a resonance that was not being provided by female companionship. And there's a personal thing here that I'd like to interject. It's a selfish thing, but since we're talking about sensitive things, I've always wanted to have a large and extended family. Mm-hmm. Paul's aware of this. My other two children are aware of this. And for reasons that I don't understand completely, it's not happening, and it may not happen. And it's something that I've had to come to grips with. And Paul coming out was, a 33% blow to the empire. I know to the viewers are going to say, no, a lot of gay men, couples have families. There's mitigating factors here. And I always knew with Paul that when he embraced the larger community, which is the world, that the energy necessary to have a family would be put off to, maybe a decade from now. And as you all noticed early in our discussion, I have a morbidity complex.
Yes, you do. You're gonna live till you're 100, and you're just gonna be like, oh, I've still got 1 foot out the door, son. 1 foot out. Oh, so there you were, and I came out, and it was just I as and I don't know if I can speak for everyone. I absolutely cannot. But when I came out, there was a part of me that wanted people to be shook. Wanted people to be like, "No, you're not gay. That can't be." But of course, I remember just being like a blip in the conversation. Everyone that I had a conversation with, there was like, "Okay, great. So what's for dinner?" And I don't know why it was this thing that I really, really wanted. I think that for so long, and a part of my self-love journey has really been stepping away from being a people pleaser and knowing that when I stand in other people's light and try to fulfill their dreams and desires for me, that it never really tends to work out the way that life is meant to, which is just in flow and fun and easy. So the second I came out, it started moving it towards this direction of being fun and easy and just aligned, and the story of me coming out and then within weeks losing a lot of weight, and then the job of my dreams at the time just coming knocking at my door, and finding a community that really connected with me was really just supported me knowing that I did the right thing. Now, there's another piece that was probably the hardest part for me to come out to the family. And I would love to talk a little bit about what happened with you with regards to the church. And now, we grew up in Self-Realization Fellowship, which is an amazing church. Like, it's a cross between Eastern and Western philosophy and meditation. And I'd really just love to know if it affected me coming out, affected the social circle that you were in with regards to church at all.
Okay. This is a great question. And a little bit about Self-Realization Fellowship, or SRF. Our founder, Paramahansa Yogananda, came to the West to spread a scientific methodology of communing with God. Communing with God. And the methodology coincides with Christian belief, Buddhist belief, Jewish belief, Islamic belief, and Hindu belief. It coincides with all world religions as far as the methodology. What people practice culturally is up to them. The interesting thing with Paul coming out and my relationship with the church and his relationship was, at that point in space and time, I had a leadership position that was with the church and its youth. And we had certain programs that involved separating the sexes and going away for an extended period of time. And the purpose of that was to rise above body consciousness, body attachments to the world, and completely focus on spiritual self, and then how spiritual self integrates with life in the world.
Yeah.
And it was becoming apparent that in our programs, the women who were gay and the men who were gay were becoming a distraction on some level to some of the participants in the program. And because it was a small pool of people, just 130 some odd youngsters and young adults, it rippled. So the management felt that the best thing to do would be to create as much an environment as possible to have the desired result able to come to fruition. And they asked if gay people would not attend the program. So that's how Paul was approached by me and asked not to attend a program that he had attended for, I don't know, maybe 15, 16 years, you know? And so it became, and I can only speak a little bit for Paul, but it became a big divisive element in this program, you know, almost to the point where, you know, the program didn't exist, you know, a few years later. Could it be said it didn't exist because of this? I don't know. But it didn't exist. So this is, you know, this is just how things have to evolve until the middle ground can be met with higher consciousness as time goes on.
So, Dad, the reason that I really appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing that story is that it really brings it back to this space where everyone goes through some sort of piece of, for what I felt like, you know, just separation when you come out. And I'm really grateful that you are willing to be so open about this piece, because it reminds everyone that regardless of whether or not you have parents who just say, oh, okay, you know, you're gay, that's great, or you have parents that say, kick you out of the house. Like, we all go through hardships when it comes to being different. And it's not right, it's not wrong, it just is. And I think that's something that you say a lot, and it really resonates with me. And yeah, it was really painful for me. But the reason it was painful was because the time that you and I spent together at that church thing was some of my most cherished memories. So it almost felt like it was being ripped away from me for being truly, truly me, and it didn't make sense. But I don't really want to focus on that. I just really wanted to know, like, I would love to know, like, what you were going through at that moment, knowing that, like, you kind of had to take away this connection that you and your son had.
Well, I could share that with you. At that moment, I had to make a choice. My choice was, I could have protected you and stepped down from my position. Because in the position I was in, I took a vow to uphold what the organization put forth, and I decided that I was going to keep the vow. And my thought was, a greater service, a greater value was being upheld if I stayed and tried to help navigate with love, attunement to the Guru, common sense, through some of these waters that, you know, that people don't know how to deal with them. You know, I mean, people still don't know how to deal with them in society. It's, you know, this is, this is a very confusing time. I'm going to fast forward to our trip. One of the memorable moments was when we passed Julius Bar on the Stonewall tour, which is a bar where older gay men hung out. And in the late 60s, the rules, the obscenity laws were so ridiculous, and the laws about serving liquor and other things to gay people were ridiculous. And in order to bring to the fore how ridiculous it was, some people brought the press in to the bar past a certain time, where the barkeeper would potentially lose his license and have to close the bar if he served alcohol. You remember this. And boom, there's the situation. I own a bar. This is what I do, but is my livelihood more important than my principles? And of course, the principles were more important to that barkeeper, and that helped, spawn a movement. It's fantastic. So,
look at you taking history and applying it to your life. I love that. Look at you. Well, before we go any further with this, I think it's a perfect time to play a road trip game.
Okay.
Now, Dad, you love to sing. I love to sing. We're just a singing family. A little known fact about my dad is that he was in a rock and roll band when I was a little boy. Him and his buddies would come over, and they just play in the garage all day, and he's living vicariously through me sometimes, and sometimes, most of the time, I'm living vicariously through him. Let's be real. So I want to play you're probably going to win this game too. Basically, what it is we'll choose a word.
Okay.
And Tracy, a couple weeks ago, she taught me this game where we choose a word and we have to sing a song that has that word in it. And we go until someone gets stumped. And you're just like, so do you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
so I'll let you choose the word.
Infallible.
Come on. Do you know a word with a song with infallible in it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, are you going to make it up?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, no. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. Okay, well, you lost your shot at getting to choose the word. So I'm going to choose a word, and it is going to be... there's so many words to choose. Happiness?
I have to sing a song with happiness?
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Happiness is a warm gun. Happiness is a warm gun.
Happiness is 2 kinds of ice cream. La la.
You lost it.
No, that's a song. Okay, now you have to choose a different word.
Okay.
That's not infallible.
Okay. Impossible.
Okay, I got it. Impossible. Things are happening every day.
To dream the impossible dream. To fight the unwinnable fight.
Isn't it impossible? Do. Impossible. Do. Me and you, impossible. Do. You know that song?
No.
Me neither. I don't know it either, unfortunately. Oh man, that was too much fun. Yeah, we could keep going, but I think that we're gonna take it back. That was a blast. So Dad,
Yeah.
So now it's nearly been 10 years since I came out. How would you say that our relationship has changed since I first came out till now?
Oh, well, first of all, you found the love of your life in Richard. You caused me almost to have near back surgery in getting my house ready for your wedding. And
If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and see my eye roll at that moment.
You know, Richard is the yin to your yang. So you've come into balance. You know, I mean, you've come into balance now. In the beginning, I mean, I was nervous, you know, because you discovered your newfound, you know, sexual expression, and your discrimination at that point in space and time. It left a few loose screws in my head, and I said, okay, you know, I was hoping that you weren't going to become a statistic.
This is something that a lot of parents struggle with, and you know, that at that point my dad was starting to embrace that as the father of 3 kids, that instead of giving them advice, because he felt like they never took it, he was going to be the beacon. He was just going to lead and shine his light the way we were meant to go, but not ever even say anything. So I thought that you loved all of those choices I made. You were so supportive.
You know what? I was supportive. No, seriously, I was supportive of them. And that is part of being the beacon. The beacon is really, it's like the lighthouse. You know, you shine the light and you give people a chance to just see, right, without leading them, because that just creates a whole bunch of resentment.
That's it. And I wanted to actually bring that up about the resentment, because I feel as though, having heard, this is really a very powerful conversation for me, because having heard what you were going through at the time that I came out with the church and everything, and I know that if you would have stepped down, you may have resented me because of the way that it affected your just the way you fit into the church. And like you said, this is the path that's meant to be taken, and the journey that we're all on, and the lessons that we all need to learn. And if you're listening to this and you have an opportunity to take a step back from feeling like you need to lead in a way that is telling people what to do, like, just live your life, and hopefully by living your life to the best of your ability, by living your life to a point where you have the ability to just love it and love everyone around you unconditionally, I think that's really what the beacon is. It's a beacon of love and hope and success and excitement. Would you agree?
First of all, that was highly insightful, you know, what you said. Because I've never cognized it before.
Yeah,
so,
me neither.
So if I never cognized it before, and it's ringing a bell, it's highly insightful. Because the great joy, the great universal joy in my life has been being able to share what I've discovered on the inside with others, and to, in some way, shine the light on the ability that everyone has to do the same in their own life. And if perchance, my sticking my neck out for you solo would have derailed my ability to do that, you're right. I would have probably had some sort of resentment in the moment. Hopefully I'm big enough to work through it. Hopefully I'm big enough. But this is this is a very, very good discussion because it also shows how you have grown into the position that you're in, and you have empathy for so many people because of the experiences you've gone through. As you like to always tell me, the journey is perfect. The journey is perfect. There is no rear view mirror if. The journey is perfect. It's what we make of ourselves now.
And if we're unwilling to learn the lessons, right? Like, for the lesson that maybe you were meant to be taught is like delivery in a different way. And I think this is something that you've passionately worked on in your life, is delivering this powerful message that you have in a way that you have empathy for the other person. Like, when you told me that I couldn't come to youth camp, it was literally like, the second time I came out, it wasn't in person. I sent an email because it was just like, okay, we're going to hear this again. That's for another podcast. But the response that I got was, well, just so you know, you can't come to the church program anymore. And that now might not have been the way that you delivered it, because in your mind, you were just protecting everything and just quick Band-Aid off, and it's how it was meant to be. And I know that there's lessons to be learned from all parties.
Yeah. What you first of all, these experiences really unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really unpleasant.
Yeah.
I mean, for anyone who's listening to this, imagine having to tell someone you love so much, you love them so much, that because of their core sexuality, they cannot participate in something. Well, I mean, there is no easy way to do that. There is no easy way to do it. However, I always knew with Paul that he had such a sweetness his whole life. He had such a sweetness that when if you take a rose and you crush it in your hand and you open it up, it might be all mushy, but it smells like a rose. And Paul is, Paul, he's big, and he's bigger than any circumstance, and bigger than any negativity that comes his way. He's always going to push through.
So, so we went to New York, and we went on the trip, and we went on this beautiful tour all around Stonewall, and Dad, you had this really cool like aha moment with history, and how uprising always seems to have to come from violence, and I would love if you can, how do you think being the beacon How do you think we can all get to a place where uprisings and change for better doesn't have to come from violence?
Well, it's interesting, but the two masters of this in the 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, were both murdered. They were assassinated. But if you look at their methodology, the template's been set already. It just takes an enormous amount of perseverance and passion for the goal by a group of people, then a larger group of people, and then an even larger group of people. And love and compassion will always win out over anger and fear. Love and compassion will always win out over anger and fear. That is indisputable.
It really is. We just sit and take that in for a little. I love that. Well, it's time for our next road trip game, which I love playing with all my guests because it sometimes catches people off guard, but I think that it's a fun and fresh way to connect with people. So we're going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill, Dad, okay? But we're not going to do it with people. Like, I don't need a PR scandal here. We're going to do it with ideas, concepts, inanimate objects. So I recently played Fuck, Marry, Kill with the past, the present, and the future. So you have to choose one concept, the past, present, future, that you'd fuck, one that you would marry, and one that you would kill.
Well, that's
I was like making it really hard.
No. You should be married to your present. Your present is the best actualized moment. It is. Because you don't know what the future is going to bring. And if you're not better than you were in the past, then, well, there's your man right here. I would say I would kill the past. And for me to say that, being a strong sentimentalist, is hard. But I'll tell you why. Because the past becomes glossier and more glamorous as you get older, because your memory gets selective. Mm-hmm. Your memory gets selective. You just, wow, the past. You're thinking of 10 minutes within a day that had another 23 hours and 50 minutes of unpleasantness. But the memory gets selective. So, kill the past, marry the present, and obviously, yes, the future.
He gets embarrassed now. Can't even say the word. Can't even say the word. Oh man, I remember when we were growing up, and like for a while, Dad tried really hard not to cuss in front of the kids, and because every time Mom would be like, "Don't say those words," and then one day I was just like, "Well, fuck that shit. I'm gonna start cussing in front of the kids," and now it's just the kids still don't cuss though. I think it's just
no, you know, my kids. They're like they're good examples of their upbringing. You know, I mean, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
For a future reference.
Yeah.
So the future is worthless to even think about. As far as the skeletal and the organs, you can maybe get to the skin of it, what it might look like, but what's making the future tick, it's incredibly hard to figure out. So Forget about screw it.
Screw it. I just can't get past it. Well, Dad, I just have a couple of more questions for you.
Okay.
I would love to know, what does self-love mean to you?
Okay. Self-love, to me, is being able to generate within yourself enough positive energy that what you give off to the rest of the world brings them greater joy and love and peace. So it starts with you. It starts with you. That's it.
That's beautiful. Beautiful definition. Beautiful definition. Is there anything else that you feel called to share on the road to self-love?
Those of you who, partake in Paul's experience with you, it'll always be changing. It'll always be growing. It'll always be striving for a deeper purpose, a deeper meaning, and a greater expression of that energy within that creates a better world. And a little bit of Paul can go a lot, a little bit of Paul can go very, very far. So, and I'm not just promoting him. We recently took a walk in New York City, and he brought to my consciousness things that I always knew, but I didn't have the framework around it to see what ensnarement I was getting myself into. And that moment was very, very liberating, So I'm deeply grateful for him for that.
Well, no, I'm not going to cry, so don't worry about that. Well, it was a really special moment, Dad. I've been, the thing about what I do is I'm, by being hired to be someone's coach, or being hired to create an environment where someone has the ability to give themselves permission to love themselves unconditionally, it gives me the opportunity to step fully into my beaconism. Is that a word?
Yeah,
It is now.
It is now.
And these are things that we all see about others, but until it's asked of me, like when you asked me to support you, I just felt overjoyed and so honored to be seen in that light, that I could do that. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to support you. It meant the world to me.
Well, the greatest product that a parent can produce is a child that's a greater contributor of positive energy to the world than the parent has been his self or herself. Mm-hmm. And everyone talks about my belief, religious, political, societal, whatever it is. But in the end, what they leave, if they have a family, are their children. And all of their energy, if channeled properly into their children to become better people than they were, that's the greatest contribution a person could make.
Wow. Well, on that note, I think it's a perfect time to thank everyone so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening to this. Dad, thank you so much for joining me. This is one of my favorite episodes to date that I've recorded. It's really special to have you here on the road to self-love with me, and I just couldn't be more grateful to have you as a father. So thank you for being here.
It's been a joy for me too, and it's a pleasure supporting Paul and watching the good work that's being done through all of you who are watching.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time on the road to self-love. Bye.